Hello, dear friends. Welcome to this program, Our Moments with God, our moments with the Word of God, our moments also with the love, mercy, and compassion of God, our moments with the holy ones of God. Actually, when I say these are moments, each one of them is very important. If we can spend our moments with the Word of God, with the love of God, with the mercy and compassion of God, and with the saints of God, the holy ones of God, they will automatically direct us also to look at our own selves, our moments with our own selves, so that we know exactly where we stand and how we can try better to get closer to God. And I invite you also to share the videos with others and ask your friends and families also to subscribe so that we reach out to more people. Thank you very much. In the last few days, in the first reading, we have been speaking about how Paul and Barnabas were facing persecutions from the Jews and from others who did not want to accept Christ. And they went from one city to the other in Greece, and they kept on proclaiming the word of God. But persecution was not the only problem that the early church or the early Christians, as the church was growing, as it was establishing itself and proclaiming the word of God, there were other problems that arose as well. Today, especially as today it is mentioned in the first reading, the issue is about proclaiming the word of God to the Gentiles. So, Gentiles were people who were considered as not chosen by God. Gentiles were people who went against the Torah or were not following the Torah, that is, the Jewish laws. Then they had their own gods and goddesses, etc. But what today we read in the first reading is that Peter stands up once again and in the presence of the apostles and the presbyters tells them that through his mouth the word of God should go out to the Gentiles. Gentiles who were not considered equal or not considered good enough according to the Jewish law, for them also the word of God is to be proclaimed, makes Peter very clear. And before I go further, then soon after that, Paul and Barnabas also stand up and say that yes, we have shown through our words as well as through our actions how God has worked through and among the Gentiles through us. And not only that, another apostle, James, gets up in the hall and says how it is necessary that the word of God has to be spread to everyone. And that's what brings me once again, my dear friends, to this mission of mine to proclaim the word of God. You see, in the beginning, the whole focus of the church and of the disciples was simply to spread the word of God, that it had to be heard. And to be heard, it had to be spoken, it had to be proclaimed, it had to be sent out. Thanks be to God that we have now this modern means of communication, whether it is Facebook or YouTube or TikTok, and there are many other platforms that are giving opportunities to those who want to proclaim the word of God. That now I don't have to go from village to village as Paul and Barnabas traveled from Iconium to Lystra and to Derbe and to Pamphylia and to Iconium and other places. No, sitting here or standing here in this beautiful nature, as these leaves, beautiful colors, are also proclaiming the word of God and the might and power and love of God to others. So we are also proclaiming this. What are we proclaiming? The love of God. And this is what Jesus is saying in the gospel today. As you remember, yesterday he spoke about, I am the vine and you are the branches. Without me you can do nothing, and the branches that do not bear fruit, my Father chucks them out, and the ones which bear fruit, he prunes them. And today he is saying further in the same chapter of John's Gospel, chapter 15, just as the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. This is a very powerful and deep statement of Jesus. He is giving us His love. He has experienced the Father's love, and He says, with the same love, I love you. And then He goes further, remain in my love. You see, yesterday He was trying to establish very strongly that without me, you can do nothing. Cut off from me, you will not bear any fruit. So today He is saying, therefore, remain in me and remain in my love. And how do you remain in His love? As Jesus continues in the Gospel, when you keep my commandments, then you will remain in my love. Jesus' commandments were very simple. Love God, the Creator. That is the first commandment. And the second one is similar to that. Love your neighbor as yourself. Tomorrow will be the continuation of this gospel, where Jesus will explain more clearly what His commandments are. You see, the 10 commandments that God gave to Moses, they are important. They are also for our day-to-day life, how we must respect our parents, how we must be obedient to God, how we must keep His day holy, how we should not steal, how we should not covet others' materials, how we should not murder. All those are good. But the most important commandment, as Jesus says, is to love one another. And main thing is that He invites us to remain in His love. I love this commandment of Jesus and His statement, remain in my love. As the Father has loved me, so do I love you. Let us spread this love by spreading the word of God and sharing the videos with others and subscribing to the channel. Thank you.